Hi everyone, my name is Jose Pila, and this is CIVVIE Debrief. And this is not to get it confused with like CBD, like the, because it is. I've gotten that response before. Like is this CBD? We're not going to be talking about CBD. This is CIVVIE Debrief, which is civilian terminology to civilians. CV like civilian, and debrief. We're going to be debriefing either a lot of the veteran stories and the how we approach some of the veteran talk and things like that, and what's going on in politics with the VA, what's going on with a lot of the benefits that we have, and some of the supportive services that are in and around some of the counties that have larger veteran populations. So again, my name is Jose Pila. I'm an Army vet, and I'll be sharing a little bit also, opening up to you guys about my transitioning struggle and why we developed this podcast and other podcasts with one of the companies that I co-founded. First and foremost, I want to thank our sponsor, Naomi Rubio with Financial Services. She helps out with retirement plans and insurance. You can reach her at 909-355-6639 or 951-316-9975. Thank you, Nancy. And also, I want to welcome my co-host, Alexandria Jacques.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Like he said, my name is Alexandria Jacques, and I am the CIVVIE part of the CIVVIE Debrief. I will be here providing that civilian perspective, asking questions so that gap between veterans and civilians is no longer there. We're going to bridge that gap through this podcast and some of our other projects. So excited to be with you guys this week and every Wednesday from here on out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a little bit of a long, tough road for both of us, and for our team that's also founded a lot of these projects that we've started. So how did we start this?
How did we start it, or how did we start it?
How did we start it?
We started with conversations, trying to figure out how we were going to bridge this gap, how we're going to help veterans. And I think one of the catalysts was us realizing that the people out there helping veterans at the VA, at the hospitals, most of them are civilians, and we can't help you guys properly if we don't understand you. So this is one of the first steps.
Yeah, I think it's one of the shortfalls that the VA has, just one of the very tiny shortfalls that the VA has. But and we started this project with the previous podcast that we had. That's still up and running. We just wanted to create something more personal and live. So we created CIVVIE Debrief, but our other podcast, which I'm sure you'll tell us more about, was
that's my baby project.
Yeah.
That's how I got introduced to this whole world. Meal with a Vet, and it's a podcast that allows for more intimate conversations because we break barriers just by having a meal together. I mean, breaking bread, we break some barriers, and it opens up some floodgates, and we've had really good conversations with people. I've had good conversations with you.
Yeah.
So I've had the practice being a host. This is kind of your first time doing it.
Yeah, I am nervous as shit. Honestly, when we started this, and the production company that we partnered up with to develop this and create this CIVVIE Debrief, All Access Broadcasting, asked for a veteran perspective on this particular podcast. I put myself on the last of the list, and
they dug right deep and said, "Nope, there you go."
And I was like, "God damn it, I don't want to do this." But here I am. I am very, very happy to be able to both share my story and also let veterans know that my story isn't unique, unfortunately, and it happens to a lot of us. That transitioning, getting out of the military, whether you're having difficulty transitioning into academia or the job market or entrepreneurship or whatever it has been a little bit of a struggle, and I know that there's more barriers for veterans to cross than it is for civilians.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want to tell them your story? Are you ready to share that part yet, or you still getting comfortable?
Nah, it's the first episode.
No.
No, I will, and we'll touch a little bit on it a little later. But let's go over a little bit of what Meal with the Vet is planning to do now, because I know that we put it a little bit on the back burner, but
Not the back burner. We've slowed it down a little bit.
Yeah.
We were doing weekly episodes, so now we're planning to do at a minimum once a month, hopefully to get some more guests. But our goal with Meal with the Vet is to take it nationwide, to travel, to get video, maybe one day a documentary type series or a docu-series. And
yeah, it's not a maybe. It will happen. Our vision for our podcast, both this CIVVIE Debrief and Meal with the Vet, is to take it across the road. It's to get a sponsor, get enough capital so that we can buy a van, outfit a van, and start going to a lot of these encampments in the major metropolitan areas, Seattle, New York, anywhere where there's large amounts of veterans, and start hearing those stories.
yeah, but not even just that. I mean, because a veteran who transitioned and then went into a metropolitan area, but versus the veteran that transitioned in middle of nowhere Idaho or Ohio, they're going to have significantly different stories. So we're hoping to get those stories as well, or people
Yeah.
that grew up in Idaho and then they transitioned into the metropolitan area. They have the culture shock of that combined with transitioning out of the military. So we just need a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
So we'll get out there. We'll do it.
Yeah, and we want to be able to, highlight those pain points that a lot of these veterans, a lot of us have, whether it's with the VA, whether it's obtaining the further educational benefits that we deserve a lot of the times when you have a disability or a rating, like vocational rehabilitation. We want to touch on a lot of these other topics, the educational aspect, your all of your benefits or supportive services that are within your city. We want to be able to touch on that.
But we also want to hear the stories, the individualized stories, and understand, or at least that's why I'm here. That's what I want to do. I mean, yes, I know veterans, you guys want to hear about the resources because they're not out there, but I want to know your stories. Like when I first heard yours, when I first heard your co-founder Pedro's story, those are intriguing and amazing, and it opened my eyes to this whole world that I walk past every day and didn't realize. I want to know these everyday heroes that are just here. You guys are the most humble group of people I've ever met, and you're not going to willingly tell it unless we drag you into a podcast and start talking to you, beat it out of you guys. So that's my hope, at least for CIVVIE Debrief, is to get out there and hear these stories, the unique stories, and
I through this entrepreneurial process, I've learned how to, or I've been forced a little bit to tell my story, because it does tend to resonate with some of the vets and some of the people that are going into this particular industry, going into entrepreneurship. So in the beginning, it was a little bit of a struggle to get that out, and I would get knots on my throat. Sorry, I might have clicked that mic, but yeah, it was difficult, and it doesn't get easier, it doesn't get easier, but it does definitely makes me feel a little better that someone out there might be able to resonate and say, hey, you know what, if he can do it, which doesn't say much, but if he can do it, I can do it.
It did say a lot. It was a struggle for you. I mean, the first time, even just when we rehearsed it, when you were doing when Ten Hut was doing one of the competitions, you had to get up and talk, and just writing it down, you were having a hard time.
Yeah.
It was hard for you.
Yeah.
There's been some healing through that process now.
No, and luckily I have a very, very good support system with both my family, my friends.
Yeah, we are real life friends too, guys, just so you know.
Yeah, we do hang out outside of this.
We'll get wings. That's our thing.
Except Oh, I can't mention it. I can't mention the name, but yeah.
I got sick once. Let's just leave it at that. We'll go to the good places.
Yeah. No, but this is a big chain, so I don't know if we can mention the name without.
No, I don't want to throw them under the bus. I've been there before. It didn't happen all the time. Just the one time. But you do have a good support system.
I do. My fiance, very, very good support system. She's amazing. Also a vet. So she actually puts up with a lot, but definitely helps me through a lot of these struggles.
Right.
But why this? Let's talk about why the civilian aspect of it, and then I'll go into my story, I guess.
My civilian aspect, it's not out of the blue. It's not like I'm just some random civilian. I've never had interaction with veterans. My father was a veteran. I didn't know much about his story. I've told you that before. You know, I grew up, my parents were divorced, and I mean, I was fine with that. My dad remarried, my mom remarried. I had two great families. I had a great childhood. It wasn't, you know, any sort of sob story, but we just never talked about it. I knew he was a Navy vet. I have my favorite picture of him is him holding me in his Navy uniform, you know, but it wasn't spoken about a lot. And then in 2013, I lost him. I lost him to suicide. And that's when I found out about the 22 a day, the veteran statistic, that we lose 22 veterans a day to suicide.
I think it's a little, the census
it's
came back.
17 now. It's gone down.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, that's what I read a couple days ago. I could be wrong. I don't remember where I read it.
I thought it went up. I'm not sure, but we'll definitely for the second episode.
We'll look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's when I found that statistic, and I started looking into it, and I was just blown away by how much of it seems that that community, the veteran community, is kind of ignored from the mainstream, and we're not talking about the issues and really understanding how difficult a transition could be. And when I lost him to suicide. So I kind of really dove into the suicide and the mental health and, you know, prevention and awareness and all that for a while. And that's where my focus was. And then I met you through a professional network. You were working in insurance services. I'm in the mortgage industry. We met at an event. You were talking about 10 Hut, and you talked about the veteran drifter. And that's when things clicked for me. Like immediately, I was like, that was my dad. I had never realized that term that you guys have coined nailed him to the T. I mean, my dad was a great guy. He ended up with a career, but when I was younger, I remember every summer he had a new job this time, or we're in a new house, and he just kind of never really found his footing until a little bit later in life. But, you know, his issues, whatever they may have been, obviously they took over. And so once I found 10 Hut and I found, you know, veteran drifter, I was like, that's where I need to be. I need to understand that term, and I need to make sure that nobody else has to go through what I went through. Nobody else has to go through what my dad went through and what, you know, the 22 veterans every other day go through. Nobody should ever have to feel that low. Yeah.
Yeah, the veteran drifter is something that, like you mentioned, we've been through this entire process of starting 10 Hut, which is our parent company, starting FOB 10 Hut, which is the for-profit company that we started, and then the different podcasts. Throughout this entire process, we realized that we tend to drift from place to place. When we got out of the military, or when we joined the military, we gave the military 24 hours of our day, and every day or every minute of that day was dictated on what you eat, what you do, what you dress, how you dress,
right.
Everything. And then when you separate from the military, you get those 24 hours back with that DD-214, and a lot of us don't know what to do with those 24 hours.
Right.
So we drift from either, if some of us are driven, we drift from school to school, trying to figure out what our place is in that setting. We drift from job to job, trying to figure out what our mission, our purpose, our drive is again. And yeah, we continue drifting, trying to figure out what our next mission and purpose and you know, what to do with those 24 hours. And
right.
Some of us unfortunately drift into
a place that you can't drift out of.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what the entire company is trying to do, not just through this podcast, but through other supportive services that we might be able to help you with, or anything like that. We're trying to help the veteran either not drift as long or drift into something like you mentioned they can't get out of.
Right. And help give them a point, give them a compass, and let them.
Yeah, and it starts with, like anything, any problem that we might have is realizing that we do have a problem, and one of those problems is that we're drifting, and telling those stories, allowing the veterans to tell those stories, and maybe having them realize as they're telling those stories that they're drifting. It might be able to click something on someone. I don't know.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was traumatic. And I mean, I've told that story so many times now that sometimes I feel like the emotion doesn't come out of it. Like it's so rote to tell the story now. And that was the most traumatic thing I've ever been through. And that is why I'm here asking these questions. And I want to learn more about this community. And I mean, that we've known each other now for a couple years. So, but that's a place that I don't want any other civilian child, military child to go through, to have to lose a parent in that way. But I don't want any veteran to have to feel that low, to feel like you're not loved or you're not wanted or appreciated, or especially somebody who is given 24 hours of their life or a day for a certain amount of their life to the government so that I can sit here doing this, or I can sleep in tomorrow. And
you know what, a lot of the times it isn't that we don't have a good support system, because after separating from the military, I had a phenomenal support system. My family never closed their doors to me. But it was that feeling that they're either walking on eggshells for me, or I saw that I thought I was a threat to them, and that kept me away from that threshold, entering that threshold. And yeah, and inevitably for me, I ended up in homelessness. I was sleeping in my car for a really long time. I slept in the streets. I self-medicated with alcohol, Percocets, painkillers, and so it was a little bit of a rough transitioning. But what did help me through this process was I never stopped going to school.
Right.
There was times where I would even show up drunk to class, and
Well,
but
you worked through it. You've collected degrees like most people collect baseball cards. I mean, where are you at? You're at almost finishing your second master's, and PhD candidate.
Yeah, I'm on my PhD.
Yeah. You should here we go. New degree this time. New degree this time.
I collect them in twos, though.
Okay.
Like for some reason, the number 2. I collect them in twos.
That's my lucky number.
Yeah.
That was my volleyball number all throughout high school, so that's my lucky number. I get it. But I don't collect degrees. I only have 2.
No, it's just that for me, the academic side was very therapeutic for me. But this is why I think hearing especially the successful stories of veterans transitioning out of the military, to listen to the different ways that we've transitioned and coped, and
Right.
Mine happened to be academia. For someone else, I know my co-founder, his niche was working out.
Exercise, yeah.
Yeah, he opened up a gym, or him and we opened up a gym back in 2014. I unfortunately got into private contracting, and I left, and
Left him to run the business by himself.
And he probably still resents me for that, but
I don't think so.
but there's different ways that we can approach this particular topic, or particular transitioning out of the military.
Right.
And telling those stories, I think, will resonate with somebody and help someone out.
I agree. I mean, look at just the stories we've been able to tell through Meal with the Vet has helped people. We've been able to help people, so.
Yeah. What's been one of your favorite stories?
One of my favorite stories, without a doubt, is, I think it's next week's guest, Mark.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mark Dewey, who you guys will meet. You'll meet next week. He was my favorite one just because it was the first time that I felt like I was able to break down some barriers, and we got real. We talked about everything. But Caleb Williams, he was part of your 10 Hut cohort. He was first season. That one was just an interesting one. He was a cool guy to talk to, and his was a really cool episode.
You know what? It's funny. So Caleb and I and my co-founder were in this Bunker Labs program together out of LA, and everyone in the cohort called him he was a spy.
A spy?
Yeah, I don't know. He was always missing. He was like he ended up in Cambodia one of the times he was traveling, and someone mentioned that you must be in the CIA or something like that. It was just hilarious because he was always traveling, and he'd show up with like beard or like really
looking different every time.
Looking different every single time.
Maybe he was, but he couldn't tell you guys.
Yeah,
I mean,
he couldn't tell.
You guys have some good stories from 10 Hut or from Bunker Labs.
Yeah,
that was
Bunker
a
Labs.
cool time.
Yeah.
Those were some very interesting. Alicia Haniff is probably another really cool guest of mine. And she's talk about everyday superhero. I mean,
Yes.
incredible mom,
Superwoman.
veteran, business owner, like just checks every single box.
Yeah. Phenomenal leader,
Yeah.
Motivator, man. Which is why we've still stayed friends with her.
Oh yeah, we still talk to her. Yeah. And she's got an incredible sense of style. Like I love having her around just so I can be like, okay, how am I gonna pick my next outfit? Because the boots she's got on today, they're killer. Like every time I see her, she just rocks an outfit. And the last time we saw her, she was wearing workout gear and she still looked.
But that her transitioning struggle was very impactful, especially for some of the women vets,
It was.
female veterans,
Yeah.
which was, yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've learned firsthand just talking to other veterans through Bunker Labs how impactful it can be to just share your stories and
Yeah.
hear other people's experiences.
Yeah, but I'm more interested in the historical ones. Like I love going to the American Legions, the AMVETS, like, you know, and talking to the older generation.
I can get
love
that,
it.
but I think for me, I like those two. I don't dislike them. When we talked to Joe Skirbo and the Cuban Missile Crisis was
Oh,
a
that
really
was
cool
last
one.
week's episode,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I think maybe because you lived through modern day war type stuff, so it's not historical for you, it's your experience. For me, I'll talk to anybody because it's what I learned in the history books or what I was watching on the news that day. So I'll talk to anybody. Every story fascinates me in that sense.
which is one of the reasons why CIVVIE Debrief was created to bridge that gap between either how a veteran talks and how a civilian perceives it, and you know, and a lot of the times we go into acronyms or we just, you know, certain lingo that we use, and I've been to a lot of networking events where it's either a veteran networking event that has civilians integrated into it, and you'll see people huddled up, and you'll notice which ones are the civilians because they're just like deer in the headlights look like.
Yep.
So if that is you on a networking event, listen to this podcast.
Yes.
So
You'll
you
learn
start,
so much.
You'll hear how veterans talk, how, you know, and you can figure out a way to be relatable. It doesn't have to be always be, because I know that when I had recently gotten out of the military, it was very difficult for me to connect with civilians. I was always looking for the veteran horde.
Right.
So, but expanding, especially going into entrepreneurship or going into the job market, it's beneficial to welcome the civilians and have them.
What's that called? Code switching, I think is what it's called. Yeah.
I think so.
But being able to translate, it's funny because I forget what it's called, but there's this theory that, you know, once you start thinking about something, you see it all the time, type of things.
No, yeah.
So honestly,
like when you buy a car and you're like, God damn it, I see that car all the time.
Yeah, that type of thing. So before interacting with you guys, veteran was something that came up on occasion. You'd hear something on the news about VA or, you know, some story that's happening in Iraq or Afghanistan or what have you.
Yeah.
But now I swear every time I watch a TV show, I hear something about a veteran. I was watching a TV show the other day and they were talking about a veteran was applying for a job and he's, he wasn't going to be given it because he didn't have this one certain technical skill. And he's like, but I promise you, just because I can't do this, I'm going to be able to do everything else because of what I was able to do in my service. I just haven't figured out how to translate on a resume. But yeah, every time now it's everywhere. That the whole, not the issues. I hate that word because it has a negative connotation.
It does.
But the obstacles that you guys face transitioning into a job market or just back into civilian life, I see it everywhere now.
Oh, I know. Well, one of the struggles that I went through, it wasn't really a struggle, but that barrier that I had to overcome was being in a classroom with people much younger than me.
Oh, yeah.
And if I offend anybody that's younger than me right now, hey, y'all can go to hell anyway.
You'll understand in a decade or so.
Yeah, you'll understand when you're sitting in your either master's degree program and somebody younger than you is there, or your PhD program and you have somebody that's like a prodigy and freaking a 20-year-old PhD candidate. No, just listening. Oh, sorry, listening to a lot of the younger generation and how they're either not paying attention in the classroom and you're trying to pay attention, or I don't want to say they're asking dumb questions because apparently there's no dumb questions. There is. But just not really engaging in what they're supposed to be doing in the classroom setting, and coming from a very strict regimental background from the military, and you're trying to get back into something that you're not familiar with. It's very distracting.
I bet. And
oh man, I wanted to choke some of those kids out all the time.
I'm so glad we never had class together. I didn't enjoy school
that
much.
She is much younger than I am.
If you can believe it, he doesn't look his age at all. You really don't. But it's true. Everybody else thinks we're similar ages anyway.
Yeah.
But I was one of those students. Because I went from kindergarten all the way through, to the age of 25 was school all the time. So by the time I was in, my senior year of my bachelor's degree, I was over it. And I wasn't, I was texting during class, and I still ended up getting my degree, and I'm building success now. I'm not going to say I'm successful yet, but it's a journey. But yeah, I was one of those kids that I'm sure that people got frustrated with because I'd skip class and I just wasn't into it.
No, it's I am positive that I would have been one of those kids too, because coming straight out of high school, I was a mediocre high school student. I just did the bare minimum so that people would leave me. Yeah, C's get degrees. Just so people would leave me alone. Mm-hmm. And I would fly under the radar, but not too low where I wasn't going to pass. Mm-hmm. Which is why I joined the military. It wasn't that I didn't have another option. I just knew that staying around where I lived was not a good idea.
You needed that direction, that lift.
Yeah. So,
it worked out for you too. Like I said, you're now 2 masters, PhD candidate, entrepreneur, soon to be married.
Yes, next year. Yes.
Dog dad of 2 pups.
Yeah, recent. 3. I have.
3.
Yeah, 3. My fiance's dog.
Oh, that's right.
And
she does have a dog.
My service dog. Yeah. And then we
Ranger.
Just got
Can we bring Ranger on the show one day? You think that's allowed?
Yeah, I think so.
We have to.
Yeah.
You guys have
I have
to
a service
Ranger.
dog. His name's Ranger.
Ranger is amazing.
He's our happiness officer.
Chief Happiness Officer. Yes, he's an official title with their business. But he's perfect in every way. Yeah. He's this wonderful cloud. Malamute?
Malamute.
Yeah. He's amazing.
I will bring him.
We'll have a whole episode of just him. People will watch. I swear they will. We'll just sit him right here.
Okay. I'm pretty sure.
They would. Yeah, but yeah, the military worked for you, but your transition was hard, and you had found a way out of it. And that's what you're looking to teach people and talk about.
Which is what my co-founder and I, and you, through this process, we want to teach vets that it is a struggle, but it takes work. And I always bring this up ever since I finished this book, which is right now is one of my favorite books, which is David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me.
Oh, okay. He's a beast.
Yeah, turning off that governor, it's something I've been training to do. I haven't been able to reach his level yet, but one of the biggest things that I got out of the book is that getting away from that victim mentality, which is definitely something that I had. And not necessarily every veteran has, but I know that when I came out of the military, I came out entitled. Like, somebody needs to get me a job as soon as I come out. Somebody needs to give me a damn A on this course, or you know, or not even an A, but no, you need to give me more time because I'm a vet on this particular paper. Like that sense of that sense of entitlement, and it turned into this victim mentality that we shouldn't have. Right. You know, and I'm fighting through it. Yeah. Which is, it's also been a struggle, but it's definitely been very, very enlightening, and that book resonated very, very well with me. Not to his level right now, but I definitely do want to be able to have the ability to turn off that governor and do some other things that he does.
I don't think there's too many people on his level, though. In all reality, he's a unique person and amazing in so many ways. I had never heard of him till you mentioned him, and I started looking him up, and I'm like, oh my goodness, yeah.
But it's definitely a really, really good read, and it does resonate. It might not be, like I mentioned, to that level, because he went from like weighing this much, and then he lost like 106 pounds, went into the Navy SEALs, and it's an incredible story. But that is something that I want to be able to teach and show veterans that no, you're not a victim. You know, we want to be able to help those that want to help themselves. Right. Especially so they can turn around and help others.
Definitely.
Because once you start creating that net, and that net starts getting bigger of people helping other people, or veterans helping other veterans, it creates that proactive approach that we promote. Because in any of the pain points or the issues that we're touching on, like telling the veteran, amplifying the veteran voice, which is the tagline for all access broadcasting. But we definitely resonate with it because we want to be able to amplify those veteran voices, and you know, providing those supportive services, either housing, education, anything, all of those things that we're helping veterans with. You have to have that I need to help myself so that I can help others first mentality, and no victim mentality isn't going to, or having that no victim mentality is going to carry the veteran along.
You and your co-founder live that every day very, very well.
Yeah, and we should definitely have Pedro on.
We'll have him on here.
Yeah, because he needs to tell his story. My story, like I mentioned, it isn't unique. It is unique to me, but there's definitely other stories that we can share that would resonate, like Pedro's
will resonate.
Him having a family and going through, you know, that almost being homeless stage, and he can tell that story a little better. So.
He tells it really well. You both have learned to tell your story really well, though. But he's definitely, of the two of you, the camera personality.
Oh yeah, I don't like the camera. It adds pounds, they say.
You're crazy.
You can see my double chin.
Your beard hides it all.
Yeah, that's why I have a beard since I've been out, so that it hides my double chin. I can eat as much burgers as I want.
Tamales. It's tamale season.
Don't tell me that.
I'm sorry. Are you on your diets again? I won't tempt you. I'll just eat them then. I've got them ready for you.
Let's do it.
We'll do it.
Anything else?
No, I mean, I think this was a good intro for everybody. I mean, anybody watching, make sure you're asking us questions and we'll answer them next week. We want to get to know you guys as much as we're getting to know each other more and getting to know our guests. And the whole, yes, I'm here as a civilian representative, but if you're a civilian watching, ask the questions, and, you know, because I don't think of everything. I'm not the end-all be-all of civilians, for sure.
Yeah, and if I'm missing a topic, or a topic that you want to listen to or hear about, please let me know. If if you have any comments, I'm open to anything. If you don't like my beard and you want me to shave it, tell me.
He won't shave it, but
I'm
you
not
can
gonna
tell him.
shave it. I'm gonna probably do some flip off emojis, but I will respect your opinion.
Yeah.
No, honestly, it's an open forum. You can be
Yes.
as honest and brutal as you want. I've been through some shit, and I don't have a tiny heart syndrome. So
No, definitely not.
yeah, you can tell me whatever it is that you want. Do some comments, and yeah, questions, anything that you might want to know, and let us know.
Yeah, please do. But I think this is a safe place to call it. We have to thank somebody though again, right?
Yeah.
We have to thank Noemi Rubio, our sponsor. If it weren't for people like Noemi, we wouldn't be able to tell these stories. And she's in the financial services, so she understands what it means to create a legacy and to build something from nothing. So call Noemi. His number is again 909-355-6639 and also 951-316-9975. Give her a call. And thank you so much, Noemi, for allowing us to amplify veteran voices.
Yeah, and if you're interested in becoming a sponsor, please let us know. I'm sure there will be links on the description down below, or just let us know.
Let us know.
Just let us know what you think, and if you're enjoying the podcast, anything.
Share it. Tell people about it. Get people to watch. Have a watch party. Come spend your Wednesday nights with us.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Every Wednesday at 7.
Every Wednesday at 7 here on All Access Broadcasting, our other amazing sponsor, backup producer. They're incredible. So.
Yeah, we are very, very grateful for this.
Yes.
And I think I'm going to sign off with, I don't have quotes, but I definitely do have some recaps.
Recaps? Okay.
Yeah, of our process. I know that it's been a journey for Ten Hut and for Meal with the Vet. And I hope that we increase our listenership and this journey becomes bigger.
Yes.
So that we can amplify those voices, the veteran voices, and hear what they have to say, because they matter.
They do.
They matter a lot. And those stories resonate with a lot of people. And telling those stories begins a process that I didn't think was possible, and it was that healing process. And I assure you, it helped me. And I hope that this podcast helps many other people out there.
Yes, please.
And if you want to tell your story and you want to be a guest on our show, and you know that it will resonate with a lot of people, just send us a comment, or your contact information. We'll definitely give you
We'll reach
a
out.
call. Yeah, we'll reach out and have you join us and tell that story.
Definitely. So
Yeah.
I think that's it. Thanks, guys. See you next Wednesday.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.